You ready for this?
I'm always ready for this. I can't wait. I've been waiting for January 20th, 2025 since, 4 years ago.
Yeah.
So Adam wants to talk about the inauguration, which is a hard word for me to even say.
Inauguration.
So it's coming up here pretty quickly. January 20th, 2025 is President Trump's big day. So how much did you prepare for this one?
0. I have nothing. To a point where this would be good for me. I think the reason it's intriguing for me, and I mentioned this to Lucas, is that our climate, our political climate, it's so divisive, and like how everybody in that I'll say the left side flipped out when he won.
They did. There still are.
Still flipping out. And the reason this was interesting to me is that I think if it was a close election, I think this would be like a very defining moment.
Yeah.
Because I think I don't think they would have handed it over. I think there was already talk about how they were going to try not to. And so, like, if it was a close election, they were going to, do everything that is legal and probably not legal to, which it was a little nerve-wracking for me to think about, is it, like, what does that mean? Like, do we, as states that are leaning conservative, red, do we load up and march on, like, what ends up happening? And then you start talking about, throw words out there like, terms out there like civil war and martial law and blah, blah, blah. And so, like, that gets a little nerve-wracking, and so that's one reason this interested me. Yeah. I think because he won in such a
commanding fashion.
That's not going to happen. But
no, and our current president that's there right now is doing some stuff right now that I'm like, what are you doing, dude? Like, he's obviously not. Let's not talk about him today. He's not in control, but
well, other than pardoning his son, like that,
he's pardoning everybody.
I'm just saying that one he definitely did, but
and for future crimes too. Like, how do you even do that?
They got like a get out of jail free card.
Yeah,
I didn't hear about that. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I didn't get it, but whatever.
Yeah.
All right, so some history. Today we know Inauguration Day is January 20th, but until the ratification of the 20th Amendment in 1933. See, I told you I did my research.
Yeah, I did not.
Inaugurations used to happen in March.
Oh,
so everyone thought it happened then. And on September 13th, 1788, the Continental Congress declared the official day was March 4th. So originally it was March 4th.
I wonder if that's weather.
Probably.
It's just hard to get there.
Well, and they had the election, and then, they didn't have...
Yeah, they're not digitally counting things or whatever. Telephones. You had horses.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, used to be in March. The first inauguration, of course, was postponed to allow President-elect George Washington time to make the long trip from his home in Mount Vernon, Virginia, to the nation's capital in New York. All right, so you're like, long trip, Virginia, New York. That's really not that long.
No.
But when you're taking it by horse and foot, it takes you a while.
Horse, foot, and probably your posse.
Right.
The whole.
Yeah.
I think his wife probably tagged along, and
yeah, she was rich too, by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah. Franklin D. Roosevelt was the first president to be inaugurated on this new date, January 20th, and that happened in 1937.
FDR.
FDR. We can get a whole podcast on FDR too.
Good president. Not a fan.
No.
Well, time frame though, that's tough.
We could talk about FDR another time.
It's tough.
He was a big government guy.
Yeah, definitely big government.
Now you got me all confused here.
Sorry.
No,
Sorry.
You're good.
Refocus. Inauguration.
So this one's happening for President Trump on January 20th, 2025. It happens on at the Capitol building on the west side of the steps. That's a scene that everyone sees, when they're giving their oath. This is his second one and will be the 60th one overall.
Yeah.
So some of these numbers are kind of hard to fathom for us because it's
What do we call him? What's his number?
Well, he's 45 and 47.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
It's kind of fun.
I don't know exactly what they're going to. I guess he's his 47th.
47.
Now. I mean, he gets his jacket. I don't know if it says 45/47 or what it says.
Or is it like an ampersand?
I don't know. I'm sure he's got it all figured out.
Yeah.
So some of the things that happen. Oh, let me go here. So Trump's second and final, because we were talking about that earlier. He can't run another term.
Right.
And this will be J.D. Vance as the 50th vice president.
Okay.
And they're the only non-consecutive people to run other than our famous person we talked about earlier, Grover Cleveland, in 1893. So it has happened before where a president won, lost, won. So Trump's not the first person to do that.
Right.
Some agencies that are, this is nowadays, involved in planning this is the U.S. Capitol Police, the D.C. Police, Metropolitan Police, and then the U.S. Parks Police, which I didn't know what all those people are, but a lot of people involved to keep it moving and keep it safe, hopefully.
Is he going to be like in a bulletproof box?
They'll have it in front of him for sure.
Oh, for
He'll
sure.
be like the Pope riding a little car down the road.
Yeah, for sure.
So in events of this day, and it moves pretty quickly, and I'll be able to watch this, and you will too, because this is on Martin Luther King Day.
Oh, so weird. Wait.
The third time this has ever happened.
I don't get off that day.
See, I get off work.
Yeah.
So I'll be glued to the TV on this day.
Yeah.
So swearing in, that starts at 12 o'clock Eastern time on the west steps of the Capitol. And everyone sees that's when they take the oath and everything, right? On usually a Bible, but a couple times in the past it hasn't been on a Bible. And then you go to a signing ceremony in the president's room of the White House, and they just sign some customary documents.
The lease agreement for the house.
Photo props and something. Oh, his portrait. That's where they start take the picture for his portrait for historical purposes or whatever. And then they have a luncheon. He can invite people to that, and that's like where the head of the Senate and the head of the House and all the important people, I did air quotes, important people will be at that. Then there is...
I wonder what they're eating.
Probably, for him, I guarantee probably fast food.
McDonald's.
That'd be amazing, wouldn't it? They
Yeah.
would all just, no. And then there's a parade on Pennsylvania Avenue. And I always kind of like watching that. Like he'll walk down, and usually his wife will be, or their spouse will be with him. I don't know if they'll do that with him now since there's so many threats on his life. I don't know if he'll be able
Santa will be at the end of the parade.
Not this one.
Not this one.
Yeah. Trump will probably be at the beginning, and then he'll come back in the end.
No candy.
No, I don't know. I've never been to one.
You thought about it though?
My brother and I talked about it, but it's so far.
Yeah.
And it's not free either. You have to buy tickets to this thing.
To the parade?
I don't know. There's
Feels like you just walk up to a parade.
No, and I don't know how safe it'll be because it takes one lunatic to.
Oh yeah,
do
no,
stuff.
I think that's the kicker.
We talked about it, and then just it's not going to happen. I mean, if it was closer, if we lived closer to the Capitol,
yeah. Have you been to the White House?
I've never been to the White House, and I want to go.
I've never been to Washington D.C.
Either have I.
Yeah.
So my boys aren't quite old enough because it's a lot of walking, it's a ton of reading, but it's expensive too. By the way, like Kayla and I were going to go a few years ago, and it was cheaper for us to go to Mexico for like a week, 10 days, and it was
to tour the White House.
The whole thing, like the hotels are expensive
to do everything.
Food,
I got you. Yeah.
Yeah,
I saw the movie where they blew the White House up too.
Which movie was that?
I don't want to be there when that happens. I don't think it's called like White House Down or something like that.
Oh, with North Koreans?
I don't think it was North Koreans. Probably Russians. Always Russians.
Yeah.
Almost always.
Almost always.
Almost always.
So I just listed some fun facts here. I think it's interesting. Like I love history, so it might be boring for our listeners, but you gotta suffer through it. Like I said, Martin Luther King Day is this one. This is the third time that's happened, and I put on here a smiley face means I'm off work and I can watch it all day.
Gotcha. Gotcha.
Because I enjoy I don't know how many people actually watch this stuff.
I mean, I
do.
I'm not off work, and it's never on like a weekend.
Yeah.
Right.
No, it's always
whatever Tuesday of the
yeah,
or something like that.
All right. So some of this I'm just going to read because I kind of copy and paste from some other websites and ad-libbed a little bit here. So while there has been several presidents who have been inaugurated in locations other than Washington, D.C., like private residence, a farmhouse.
Really?
Yeah.
It's like way long time ago?
Yeah. Or even an airplane.
Is this because of assassination?
Yeah. George Washington is the only president who have been in 2 capital cities, which I didn't know this.
Yeah, New York.
Washington took the oath in New York at Federal Hall, and then his second time he took it in Philadelphia, which was the capital at the time.
Yeah.
So I honestly, I didn't know he did both. I know Philadelphia. Yeah. 1801. This sounds like that's so far ago. Thomas Jefferson decided to walk to his inauguration to demonstrate that he regarded the Republican simplicity, which was in contrast to the pomp and grandeur shown by his predecessors. Jefferson,
man of the people.
Yeah, he wore plain clothes, where he wouldn't like stand out.
Nice.
And he walked from New Jersey Avenue to C Street. So I don't really know what that means. Over to the Capitol.
2 blocks or something.
Right. Probably walk from here to your grandfather clock over there, just to show that he's a common folk.
I am a man of the people. Yeah.
So Jefferson, I believe, was the third president, and Adams was the second. So for many years, John Adams and Thomas Jefferson had maintained a close friendship, working together in the early days of the nation. After Washington chose not to seek a third term, however, Adams and Jefferson ran against each other with vastly different political views. Adams believed in a strong central government, while Jefferson was more for states' rights. They became bitter rivals.
So they hated each other.
They did hate each other.
They loved each other, then they hated each other.
So much that when Jefferson was inaugurated in 1801, Adams didn't show up.
Oh, yeah. So this is where my questions
Yeah.
come into play, is that to me, it feels like these last, 2 elections, there was just a lot of bitterness. And I wondered if this one especially, that side just seems very upset.
Yep.
So
this was the third presidential election, and Adams was the first president to skip.
Yeah. So it's happened from the beginning, from the get. Yeah.
They all blame, it's Trump's fault. He's first. No, he's not the first one to do it. I mean, it's happened 1801.
1801. We just didn't have social media then.
But think about it. Like, you were running against these people. Like, you're going to have some feelings.
Yeah, competition too, right? Like, there's always feelings. I just kind of grow up, I guess.
Oh, I agree. I think they should be able to handshake and move on. I mean, that's kind of the passing of power. What do they call it? The passing of power. I'm losing my train of thought. But like, when it's good to see both parties shake hands and.
It's like after a ball game, shake hands.
Yeah.
Like, if you don't, what do you think of those folks? Like, it's kind of like the Pistons. That's why they hate the Pistons. Right?
Walked off early. Come on.
They walked off early, man.
Adams and Jefferson eventually became friends again, and over the last 15 years of their lives, they exchanged over 150 letters.
That's sweet.
And they both died on July 4th, 1826. Hours apart.
There's got to be some like music in the background of that.
Yeah. But like, it's just some of the stuff that you read, like, they're by candlelight. It was by letters. Like, I don't know. It's just interesting for me.
That is
our
interesting.
country is very young, but also the way technology has advanced over like 200 years is crazy.
Oh, yeah. Unbelievable.
28 years earlier, Jefferson, John Quincy Adams boycotted Andrew Jackson's. So it's happened again right there.
Okay, so this happened a few times.
A few times. And this is early.
It's like, let's say modern era. Has it happened? Has there been anybody like, nah,
since I've been following, I think Trump was the first one.
I'm not good with this.
In like modern history, to my knowledge. So in 1809.
Wait, time out.
ahead.
Are you telling me he was not at the last changeover of power?
Trump?
Yeah.
No, he was gone.
I did not know that.
He flew out. He flew out to Mar-a-Lago.
He's like, screw this.
He was not there. No, he wasn't there.
Now, part of that too was that we kind of felt like it wasn't legitimate.
It wasn't. But yes. No, he wasn't there. He flew and left, which is probably a good thing.
At a tea time?
Yeah, probably.
You got to make it tea time. Yeah.
So in 1809, tickets to James Madison's ball. So they always have like this ball where
the presidential.
Yeah, or $4.
Gala.
$4.
$4, man. That's probably a lot.
Yeah. This one's kind of interesting to me. 1849. So this is pre-Civil War. Zachary Taylor refused to be sworn in on that day because it was a Sunday, and he's like, I'm keeping the Sabbath holy. So he refused.
Was he?
He was supposed to be taken over, right?
On a Sunday.
On a Sunday, he refused to be sworn in. So the presidency could not be vacant for a day. So the pro temp of the Senate, so the leader of the Senate, was sworn in for the day.
Just a day.
For the day. Some argue that this makes Atchison, this guy's name was David Atchison,
Number
the 12th president, and Taylor the 13th.
That's so great.
But others don't count it.
Yeah.
But on this dude's headstone, this Atchison guy, he says, president of the United States for one day on his headstone.
I love that.
I do too.
Good for him.
I mean, that's just kind of the American history people don't know.
Did he like run around like Home Alone, like where he's home by himself?
Yeah.
Did he run around the
just one day
house doing everything he possibly could in a day?
Yep.
Yeah, he should.
Yep.
Eating ice cream and watching movies he shouldn't watch.
They have ice cream back then? Maybe. I don't know.
I think so. Isn't ice cream been around for a long time?
1849? I don't know if they even had ice.
The French had it, man. I don't know.
Of course.
I think they did it. Yeah.
Franklin Pierce in 1853 was the only president to affirm rather than swear the office of the president.
Well, I don't know what that means.
I swear to take the oath or whatever. And he
said,
I
affirm.
Yeah.
Like I don't swear.
I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
Old Franklin Pierce.
Old Franklin Pierce. I didn't even know this guy.
No, there's a guy in 1857, James Buchanan, announced that he was not going to run for a second term. And it says he stayed true to his word, which may be the right decision since he was the worst president of all time.
That's what they say?
Yeah.
He's like, you know what? I don't think I'm done.
Yeah.
And they're like, yeah, it's probably good.
Because if you already said you're done, like, no one's going to work with you. Like, you're just a lame duck.
Lame duck.
It's done.
Yeah, it's like a head coach saying I'm retiring at the end of this year. Yeah. That's funny.
Oh, this one's kind of funny. So Andrew Johnson was inaugurated as vice president in 1865. So this is right after the Civil War. He was completely drunk.
Just totally.
He was out of it. He was suffering from typhoid fever and drank whiskey
to help the fever
on purpose to numb the pain. Except he drank a little too much and ended up slurring through his whole oath.
I swear.
I swear in my faith.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I thought that's kind of funny.
Yeah, that's great. It's great that they know it. Like that they mark that down in history. Like, hey, he was drunk.
They're like, feather pen.
Yeah.
Drunk.
Oh, hey, they take this down. The reporters up there. See here. Yeah.
Johnny, run with it.
Yeah. Johnny, get this to the presses.
Yep. On March 4th, 1873, Ulysses S. Grant, his inauguration was so cold that all the food and champagne froze.
Whoa!
And so did hundreds of caged canaries that were brought in for the reception.
They just died? Why do they have caged canaries? Just to let them loose?
I don't know.
That's interesting.
That's in March, so it's still in March back then.
Man. Should put the capital in Texas.
They probably think they should be.
I think it is.
In 1905, Teddy Roosevelt wore one of Abraham Lincoln's rings. So he knew this guy named John Hay was Roosevelt's Secretary of State and blah, blah, blah. And he gave a ring to Mary Todd. And then, so that's just interesting that he was wearing something from Abraham Lincoln.
Yeah, that is interesting. I read his biography.
Oh,
it was, it's very good. He's an interesting cat.
He's an interesting cat. Like he was, grew up really rich.
Yep.
And then
sickly,
very sickly,
small guy.
But then he went and fought like Spanish War or something. I'm not sure which one.
He was a Rough Rider when it was the Spanish-Mexican War. I think. Yeah. He was. I think because of those two things, like we just said, like kind of sickly, and then small. Like he went to Harvard, he boxed. Yeah. He did. Like he kind of was it's like he's always chasing being a man's man. Does that make sense?
Got little man syndrome a little bit.
Seemed like it a little bit. Not a great dad.
He left his daughter. His wife died.
His wife and mom both died like within a month of each other, and it like seemed to just
devastate him.
He just like basically forgot his kids.
Did he go out west? Yeah, like, his daughter's raised by his sister-in-law.
He didn't even like mess with his kids. Like it's just that kind of stuff. Very interesting guy though. Yeah. I mean, he's got some great speeches. He's
he's the dude that was shot
and
he had like his speech in his pocket.
Yeah, and he was bleeding the whole time. Yeah, all the way through. Yeah,
he's still gave the speech.
Yeah, I was trying to remember all the the cool little. But yeah, I was pretty like engaged in that book.
Yeah.
Anyway,
and he changed his politics big time from beginning to end.
Yeah, he did.
I just like reading some of these presidents' names because like we should know these guys, but we don't.
Well, like the Pierce, like that doesn't stick out to me at
Franklin
all.
Pierce.
Yeah, that does not stick out.
So when President Warren G. Harding died in office, Calvin Coolidge was at his family's Vermont farm, which had no electricity or telephone. He received word of Harding's death by courier.
Mm-hmm.
That's just crazy to me. during the
Courier
early morning.
pigeon.
Yeah, in 1923. So 1923 had none of it. He was sworn in by his father, who was a notary republic. Uh-huh.
Oh, that's
The
great.
entire ceremony was conducted by kerosene lamp, and the new president reportedly just went back to sleep afterwards.
In the farm.
Uh-huh. Isn't that crazy?
Who was the big old fat president? Taft?
Yeah, or Garfield, I don't
He
remember.
gets stuck in a bathtub or something.
Yeah. Oh, speaking of Taft, in 1925, for his second inauguration, he was sworn in by former President Taft, who was now Chief Justice of the Supreme Court.
Oh, wow.
There you go.
Yeah.
So Taft was president,
And then
became the leader of the Supreme Court.
That's pretty.
Uh-huh.
It's a pretty solid resume.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
pretty impressive.
that is impressive.
An
An appointment too, right? So, yeah, it's pretty great.
This one's kind of a fun one. Wearing a top hat for the swearing-in ceremony was once a custom that dated back to James Garfield in 1881. John F. Kennedy was the last president to don a top hat at his inauguration in 1861.
I do not remember seeing pictures of this.
Mm-hmm.
John F. Kennedy?
Mm-hmm.
Huh.
Lyndon Johnson.
No thanks.
Yeah.
Cowboy
he
hat?
said no thanks in 65.
You wear a
bringing
cowboy
it
hat?
to an end. Yeah, we can have a whole podcast on Lyndon Johnson too.
Yeah. He didn't wear a cowboy hat?
I don't know, probably. He's from Texas, isn't he?
Yeah.
Following the assassination of President Kennedy, Johnson took the oath on aboard Air Force One. That's pretty famous.
Yeah, there's a
photo.
picture of that, right?
Yeah, where Sarah Hughes administered the oath, and she became the first woman to inaugurate a president.
Nice.
So there's that.
Do it like at a baseball field or something.
Yeah. This is my guy here. It's Ronald Reagan. I don't know if I like him more than Trump. I don't know. Him and Trump are my 1A and 1B, I guess. But when Ronald Reagan was governor in California, he developed a jelly bean habit after he quit smoking.
I wonder what kind of jelly beans, like Jelly Bellies? They're the best.
Oh, here it comes. In 1981, 3 tons of red, white, and blue Jelly Belly jelly beans
Those are the best.
were used in his inauguration. In fact, the blueberry Jelly Belly was created for this purpose.
Dude, that one's delicious. Have you ever had it? They do a good job. They're delicious.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
That's why they're there.
Yeah.
Another
I wonder
Ronald
what the
Reagan.
white one was.
I don't like. I'm not a big jelly bean guy.
Yeah, me neither. But their flavors are really tasty.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway.
Mother Nature played a hand in both of Ronald Reagan's inaugurations. His first one in 1981 holds the record for the warmest day at 55 degrees.
Ooh.
And his second one in 1985 is the coldest at 7 degrees.
Oh, man.
Yeah. So
Hey, can we take this indoors, folks?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wrap it up, Ronald.
Yeah. His face is all red.
Yep. He was an old dude too.
Yeah.
So the president was required to recite a specific oath, and this is actually in Article 2, Section 1 of our Constitution. It says, "I do solemnly swear or affirm," for that one guy.
You can say affirm. Like, I don't.
Yeah,
I guess I don't understand.
Yeah,
the
that I will
difference.
faithfully execute the office of the President of the United States and to the best of my ability preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution of the United States.
Cool.
So,
That's it? Is there
huh?
more?
I have one more paragraph.
No, I mean, is that it?
That's
like,
it.
Is that
Yeah,
all
that's
they
it.
have to say?
So I was always thinking, man, I'd be nervous. Like I would be like, because you have to repeat after the person, right?
Yeah.
I'd be like, I'm gonna mess it up. I'm gonna
Yeah.
mess it up. Then I'm not really gonna be
Wait,
president.
can you repeat that?
Yeah. Not true. Yeah.
Hey, can you wait, what was that again?
I, Donald J.
DJ Trump.
Now King. No, we like Trump. Hopefully he does a good job. So a few more facts here, and then we can wrap this up. James Buchanan, March 4th, 1857, is the first president to have been photographed at his inauguration.
Ah, and he's the worst one.
Was he the worst one?
He's the guy you said was the
Yeah.
worst, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. He got a year and a half in and was like, I'm not doing this again.
Yeah, I'm done. The people have spoken.
Yeah.
Other technological firsts are William McKinney in 1897 was the first one to be filmed, like by video.
Oh, okay.
The first one to use loudspeakers was Warren Harding in 1921, which to me
At the
was,
inauguration?
yes. So it was kind of crazy to me that they had,
Like microphones?
they had video camera before they had microphone, according to this.
Or
Or that's what they did
they
on
just
the
used it, maybe.
Right, that might be.
I wonder, too, if like was like, who used the radio first? And
I
like
got
okay.
Calvin Coolidge in 1925 was the first to be broadcast by radio.
Isn't that how wasn't he like really good speaker or something? That kind of how he won the election? Because like I can't remember. Like the radio played a huge role.
FDR was pretty good on the radio, I think.
Okay, maybe that's it. Maybe that's it.
I don't think Coolidge was very good either.
He probably had a voice like this.
Yeah.
See now. Yeah.
Yeah. Harry Truman in 1949 was the first one broadcast on TV and on TV at all. And then in 1961, JFK was the first one in color TV.
Oh.
And then the last one I have here is Old Bill in 1997 was the first one with the internet.
Old Bill.
So
yeah, because Gore had that started by then.
Yeah. So if you guys don't know, Al Gore invented the internet.
Yeah. So Bill was a beneficiary of that.
Right, yeah, that he was. He was.
Was vice president, right?
Al Gore?
Yeah.
Yeah. He was vice president / inventor of the internet.
Inventor of the internet.
And
so Bill
clean
Clinton
air,
got to
clean water.
Yeah, clean air, clean water.
We can get a whole podcast on Al Gore.
He's got it all fixed. So Bill Clinton, 1997. You're saying the internet, like it was, you could look up.
You could watch the inauguration.
You could actually.
internet.
Oh, okay. Now that's actually probably even a bigger deal.
Probably.
Yeah.
The picture quality probably wasn't very good.
Well, no, but I think
dial up.
And that how like. Yeah, I think that was hard to get to, where we could like music and broadcast and stuff like that on the internet. But now that's how I watch my TV.
That's how everyone does everything, but the internet's different.
Yeah, internet's different.
But there's some fun facts in history about the presidential inauguration.
Yeah, man. Well, good.
So,
I know you're pumped about it.
I am excited.
Yeah.
I'm excited for our country.
I'm glad you get to watch it.
I am too. So when he won, golly, it's already been like 8 years ago. I had it on at school quite a bit. But you only can do so much, like, when you're supposed to be educating the youth.
You cry?
I don't cry with Trump. I'll tell you who makes me cry.
Reagan.
He I don't know why. Maybe he was just more relatable, seemed more human than Trump. I don't know.
Oh, I mean, he's definitely more like inspiring than Trump.
Yeah.
Trump's abrasive.
There you go again.
Yeah, Trump's abrasive, man.
He is. And I watched that new Reagan movie, and I watched it twice, like on a Tuesday and a Wednesday.
That's the one where it's actually like, it's not a documentary. It's a like acted movie.
Yeah, Dennis Quaid and then John Voight's actually in it. He's a Russian.
Gorbachev?
Yeah. No, he's not Gorbachev, but he's a
tear down that wall.
Yeah. See, you got me going.
Yeah.
Yeah. I teared up. Michaela's like, "What are you doing?" I'm like,
"I love Reagan."
Yeah.
Well, Bethany's dad's a big Reagan fan
because he closes it.
I think
when he tells he writes a letter to the American people about how he has Alzheimer's.
Yeah.
And he's like, as I fade in the sunset of, and then he's like, America is always a new dawn in America. Every day is a new dawn. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
So
I love it.
Right. I like Ronald Reagan. He just, and he got shot and he's like, I hope you're all Republicans,
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
He, of course, Bethany's dad was in the military too. And I think just, they're all pretty big fans of that guy. So,
yeah. So that's it. That's some
good stuff, man.
history.
I appreciate the education. I know I kind of I threw this out there as something I was like,
hey,
Lucas,
it was your topic.
Lucas, you want to cover the inauguration and teach me about it? Because I'm, I think I've made it clear I'm not huge into politics on this. I do find it a little fascinating. I will say I was a little nervous and hoping that Trump would just crush the election because
he did.
Your prediction came true.
Yeah, we talked about that too.
Your prediction came true. My hope was that would happen because I didn't want it to be like this weird situation. So
and hopefully it all goes smooth.
So let me ask: do you think Biden will show up? You think he'll be there?
Yeah, I think he'll be there. They already met once.
Kamala.
I don't know.
Who cares?
Because they always have like the former presidents like sitting in the background.
Yeah.
So it's when he won in 2016. Of course, Bill Clinton was there.
Sure.
And he ran against Hillary, and she was sitting there.
Yeah.
And
Bill high-fived him, didn't he? No, I'm just kidding. I made that up.
There's and then Obama's will be there.
Yeah.
Who else is still alive? I think Jimmy Carter is still alive. He's like 100.
He'll be there?
I don't know if he'll be there.
Golly, he's man.
His wife
Bush will be there.
Bush will be there, but they don't like Trump either.
Yeah. His daughter's like a crazy liberal.
Yeah.
She's like trying to run for some stuff, right?
Who?
City council or something like that?
Yeah, I don't know.
But
the Bushes don't like him. They'll be there. Clintons don't like him. They'll be there. Obamas don't like him. They'll be there. And I think Carter's the only other one that's still alive. So there you go. He'll be surrounded by people that hate him. and he'll be smiling.
I think
like
he loves that.
Oh my!
I think it fuels him.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just that. You know what? Grin on his face.
Yeah, and it'll be the largest crowd ever.
This is the largest crowd ever.
Yeah, that sounds like John F. K.
It is. Yeah, it's my Simpsons version of John F. K.
Yeah, that was pretty good.
Yeah.
But there you go.
All right, man. I appreciate it.
Yep.
Rock and roll. Happy New Year.
Yeah. See ya.
Adios.